Hello, beautiful. I'm your host, Nicole Goff. Welcome to the Ecstatic Life Podcast, the podcast for women who want it all. Health, wealth, freedom, authenticity, love, beauty, all of the hidden gems just waiting to be uncovered. This is the podcast for women who are ready to discover their inner creatrix, to discover their inner manifester, and who want to find the ecstatic in every day. Hello, and welcome back to the Ecstatic Life Podcast. I am your host, Nicole Goff, and today I am here with Jocelyn Dawn. Jocelyn is a multi-passionate entrepreneur, a manifestation and EFT tapping coach, and an unschooling mama of 3. She has built an iconic brand where she helps visionary women from all over the world to build wealth, impact, and freedom through expanding their capacity to perceive, receive, and hold more. Jocelyn is obsessed with showing her babies the world. They currently live in Costa Rica and plan to be exploring Europe next year. And actually, Jocelyn, that is where I would love to start this conversation. So how did you end up with your family in Costa Rica?
Yeah, it's a bit of a story. Thank you for having me. First of all, it's so lovely to be here. I'm from Canada originally, and I always have had this dream of showing my babies the world. Like before I had my kids, I was traveling the world alone, like exploring. I think it was like 6 years. I was traveling and just exploring the world, and it was so beautiful. And so I always said, whenever I had kids, I would show them the world. So I knew straight away that when I had my baby, that was my main goal in life, was to show him the world and figure out how I could do so. So I chose Costa Rica because I had backpacked through Costa Rica when I was 19. I backpacked from Panama to Mexico, and I always just remembered Costa Rica being so like jungly, so welcoming, so family oriented, and just beautiful, like fruit year round, animals everywhere. And yeah, I just decided, right? I decided that that's where I wanted to go. But yeah, that's where it started. I just knew I wanted to show them the world. And yeah.
So I know some of your backstory, and it sounds like there was a point at which you found yourself unable to really fulfill that dream and felt really, really stuck. So how did you go from that place of like feeling stuck and I guess kind of trapped there in Canada to getting to this place where you could show your babies the world?
Yeah. So I knew, like I said, like I want to show them the world. So one of my main missions was to find like a vehicle, like a literal, like a financial vehicle that would allow me to do that. And so when I manifested my son, I remember sitting on this rock in the south of Spain alone, my hammock in the tree, my guitar, my bicycle. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, I just feel like I'm wasting my life, and I've always been someone who's here to make a big impact. And it hit me like nothing else when I was sitting there on that rock being like, my God, like I am, if anything, doing society a burden, right? I am a burden right now. And that's not how I want to live my life. So right then and there, I was like, that's it. I just feel the calling to like lead in a different way. And I didn't know if it was parenthood specifically, but that's the first time that I had claimed like I'm ready for like the next stage in life. And so I didn't manifest like a loving relationship and like a beautiful partner or whatever like that looked like. I literally was like, hi, I would love, like, I just feel like I am in my next evolution now. And from that perspective, for me at that time, it was leaning towards like a child. And I know that's so naive to go from like literally free traveling, like traveling around, backpacking around, busking around, to saying, yeah, I want to have a child now. But when it actually happened, it happened in the wildest way, of course, as manifestation always does. The universe is always surprising us. But I manifested a child. I didn't manifest a loving relationship and a lifelong partner. And So there was that. So I ended up, it was a very, very, very dark, stressful moment of my life. Having, during pregnancy, then birth and beyond, was very rocky, very stressful. And then long story short, I actually conceived my daughter after I'd been living with my friends. I had been kind of just bombing around, jumping around with my son. And I was like, let's try this counseling thing. Someone recommended maybe you do some counseling. And I'm like, okay, let's do some counseling. And we did this. And of course, as it happens, I'm trying to make myself like this person. And there was a time where I started to believe something was wrong with me. Something was wrong with me, because I was like, I don't like him. I just I'm so appalled by this person. And that's not normal for me. So maybe there's something wrong with me. And so trying to like him in the midst of that, conceived my daughter, and knew right after, I was like, I bet you anything, I'm pregnant right now. And left right after that, I was like, I don't care. I called my grandma. I was like, Grandma, how much money do you have in that school fund that you saved for me? Can I take out $1,000? I bought a car the next day and left the same day, packed all my shit in the car. It was wild, but he wasn't there at the time, and that was my chance to get out. And it's crazy, because I didn't live just down the street from my mom. I lived 10 hours from my mom. So pack my little boy in the car and get in the car to go just drive. And at that point I didn't having money even just to eat was I'll just feed him. It was that sort of situation. It was dire. Gas in the car, things like that. I don't even know how we made it there. Show up at my mom's house and pregnant with a what he would have been 1-year-old. Yeah, it's crazy. So anyway, got the support. Luckily, gratefully, we are Canadian. I'm Canadian anyway. And the government has some pretty cool initiatives for people who are in that struggle moment. So I got some support from the government, and gratefully was accepted into at first it was a high, what do they call that? High security, women's only building, just because our town didn't have anything else. So I was in a women's only building, super pregnant by this time. I remember I didn't even have anyone to help me move. My brother couldn't even help me move because he couldn't come into the building. So I was 8 months pregnant, moving myself into this apartment. It was wild. I've been through it. Anyway, in this situation, I still had that dream, right? I still had that spark inside me and saying one day, this is all going to be a past memory and we're going to laugh about it. Right. And here we are. I moved out of that place into a government supported complex that people call No Daddy Lane. Lived in there. And and just kept my head down. At that point, I still knew that I wanted to fulfill that dream and that things were going to change. But there was a moment in time when I moved into that No Daddy Lane where I was waiting, right? I was waiting for something to change. And that's where maybe somebody listening is you're in that stage of I know I want this so much. I know this is my purpose and my soul calling, but I'm waiting. You're waiting for the business to grow. You're waiting for the situation to change. You're waiting for the money to come. Whatever it is, you're waiting. And I was very much there, and I realized it because, nothing changes without awareness. If I wouldn't have realized it, I'd still be there, just like all my neighbors are still there, right? And so I realized that I was waiting, and I decided to make a decision. And I mention this often, but I actually was borrowing my mom's truck one winter when she was in Mexico, and I rode off her truck. I crashed her truck with my baby in the car, and that helped me to make a decision. I was on the side of that highway, black ice everywhere. There was semi trucks and vans sliding towards us, and I was like, I am done. This is not my life anymore. I cannot continue to struggle, literally having nothing to my name. I'm so done with this situation. I'm no longer waiting. You know, in that moment, I like severed all cords. I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm a free person now. Like, I don't even care what their dad is doing or where he is. Like, I've disconnected from any sort of expectation around anyone else showing up, anyone saving me, any permission I thought I needed, and even my business growing. I was like, I'm done waiting for my business to grow. I decide right now it's going to fucking grow. Like, it's growing now. And from that moment, I decided I started to move differently, because I went from one day this is going to change, one day this is going to, you know, one day something different is going to happen, into this is happening now. And I took I call this like, you know, it's like you take your power back in your life. I own my life now. I went from being almost like a victim into I'm actually owning my life and living my life intentionally now. And that changed everything. So that's when I started to be able to open up to different possibilities. And at the time, I was building a business in direct sales, and I started to begin to see the success other people were having as my own. I began to see what was possible for me, and I knew that I had found that vehicle. So to go back and connect the dots for a second here, I started that business before I conceived my daughter. So I remember, you know, being at home with my little boy, like in a very stressful situation. His dad would work out of town often, so it kind of gave us a lone, like it was just me and my son a lot of the time when we were there. And I started this business, and I remember him distinctly saying to me, go get a real job. You know, when I told him about it, go get a real job. And I, in that moment, had a decision to make. I could have taken that and like let it affect me, or what I did is I call it like I alchemized it into fuel for my flame. Like I took that and said, I show you what a real job is. Let's go. And that was, again, another turning point in my life. So here we are. It did, like, as you notice, it did not change. Like I went to my mom's house with nothing. And that was then I was pregnant with my daughter, and my son was 1 and something. So I had been running that business, trying to make money with this business for over a year, and nothing was happening. It was inspiring. It brought community for me. It really kept me like motivated and inspired and developing myself for sure, and growing, but nothing was happening. Why was nothing happening? Because it's not what you do. It's not what you do. And I've learned that again and again and again and again. And so if I wouldn't have made that decision, okay, this is actually who I am now. My business is growing now, not later. I'm actually going, at the time when I made the decision, I didn't know I was going to Costa Rica. I just knew I was leaving Canada. I was going somewhere south, right? And so after I made that decision, I changed who I was. Like my self-concept, my identity changed, and I started to make different moves. As a result, what happened to my business? It blew up.
Yeah.
Okay. It blew up because I went from waiting to knowing this is happening now. Let's go. And I started to work with the universe, with source, God, creator, whatever, the laws of the universe to make it happen. Right? There's so like, this was me a long time ago when I was traveling solo. It was very much like, let's leave it up to the universe to decide. Okay. Like I get that. But at the same time, now I see how that is just avoiding taking responsibility for your life, honestly. And I know it sounds rough, but it's true. So when we make a decision, we know how to work with the universe now. And we work with the universe to make it happen the effortless way. This is now what I teach. And it's incredible. If I would have had this information back then, my entire life would look completely different. But of course, this is the journey, right?
Yeah, it is. And I resonate with that journey so much. You know, I was in a single wide trailer with 4 kids and pregnant with my 5th, or maybe I just had my 5th, and I was pregnant with him, and I got to that exact same point where I was like, this is not my life. And I had had a 5-year stint in university to get I was going for a PhD in psychology, wanted to be a psychologist. And I'd put that on hold and had kids and had kids and had kids. And I reached that point too where I was like, this isn't me. I'm done putting my needs on the back burner. I'm done putting my life on hold. I'm done living off of food stamps and living in a trailer. And I said, that's it. And I started manifesting a new life. And it was amazing how things just grew and opened up, and opportunities I didn't think we could afford to move into a new house. And now I live in a beautiful 2-story on a lake.
Yeah.
And it happened like that.
Incredible, right?
Yeah. Because I made that decision. This is not my identity anymore. I am not a person who lives in a single wide trailer.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
So I completely resonate with that. So how did you specifically end up in Costa Rica? Because I have a bit of a love affair with Costa Rica right now. So I'm curious about that part.
Yeah. So I call it the bridge of incidents took place. Like, I made the decision, I'm going somewhere south, and this is where we leave it up to the universe to guide us, right? This is where that comes in, like, and is really important, because when we make a decision, what most people's tendencies is to do is they want to control the process. They're like, okay, well, I want to go out of Canada, then I'm going to like research a bunch of places and kind of like plan it all out and figure it all out. If I would have done that, I would have come up against a lot of barriers, because I would have seen, okay, well, I don't know if I can afford that. Like, I don't have the money for that right now, right? I don't know if I have the means to do that right now, because we're looking at it from our current results. And so when we completely detach from our current results and say, I don't care how, this is not my life anymore, this is where I'm going, we make that decision, the universe shows up and provides. Okay, whatever word you want to use, source, God, whatever, the information lands in your mind, first in your imagination, as this kind of like, oh, like flicker of like inspiration or an idea. What if that could be possible? And we move it into the body and we take action towards it in a new way. So of course, the bridge of incidents unfolded when I began to get more emotionally involved with the decision. So I'm doing the same thing right now with our Europe trip. So what are we doing? We're researching Europe. We're getting into the energy of it. We're listening to their music. We're gonna cook food that they would cook, right? We're gonna research the country and kind of like get a feel. We get emotionally involved for it or with it. We've been taught that it's dangerous to get your hopes up. Don't get your hopes up, in case it doesn't work out, don't get your hopes up. But actually that's complete bullshit, because do get your hopes up, because once you can get emotionally involved with a desire, even if it is completely illogical, what I did does not make any logical sense. It is completely unrealistic. Okay. And that's, I think that's really beautiful, because it creates unrealistic results. So once I started to take action towards it, I started to receive these signs along the way, right? We all do it. We receive these signs, but the reality is most people don't even listen to them, or they just brush them off. Oh no, it's coincidence. No way. I don't believe in coincidence. So I began to receive these signs. Yeah. And one thing lined up after the next. Randomly, a woman who was involved in my company, she was in Costa Rica. And I was like, oh, tell me more. You're in Costa Rica. Okay. And she was like, yeah, I'm in like this small little beach town. Like, you guys should just come here. Like, you can come here. I'll come pick you up at the airport. And I'm like, sweet, let's do it. Done. Easy. Fucking easy. Right? Like, we look around, and I was talking with my kids today about like how beautiful and how perfect nature is. Like, nature is just so perfect. Like, biology, everything to do with plants and all of this. And it's so funny, because as human beings, we like complicate the shit out of life, like everything. We're just overcomplicate everything. But if we can just take some notes on like how perfect nature is, and like, you don't see a river trying to make it up a mountain, like, or like flow through like a rock. Maybe it happens over time, but like, that's the effortless way. And that's what I now teach. That's what happened, is it all started to line up perfectly. Okay. Of course, I found the perfect rental in that town. Of course, I found the perfect flights. Of course, my mom was available to drive us to the airport. It all lined up. And, like, people this work, manifestation, quantum leaping your life requires a certain level of delusion. It totally does, right? Someone who was maybe not as delusional as me could have been like, oh, I don't know. Or like, that's coincidence, like we said, right? But for me, I was like, I've convinced myself everything is working out in my favor. And even today, that's how I live my life. Everything is always working out in my favor. And I'm always like, that's for me. And it's so fun.
And are you teaching? I know you unschool. I unschool as well. So I have 4 still at home. My eldest is now a mama herself. But I have 4 that I still unschool. And so part of that is teaching my kids things like manifestation and a lot of woo-woo things that I feel are super important, that should just be life skills that probably a lot of people would really frown on me for including in my it's not curriculum, but daily activities. So do you teach your kids how to harness this universal energy and how to manifest their futures as well?
Yes, for sure. And always a big one for us is like what you focus on expands. Like that comes up all the time. It's like what you focus on expands. Do you really want to attract more of that to you? So absolutely, all the time. All the time. Another one is when talking about money, right? It's like I have a belief that I'm just like a money magnet. Like I find money everywhere. I receive money all the time. And like my daughter has totally adopted that too. She's always got money and she's always finding money. And it's hilarious, right? It's just, why would you believe something that doesn't serve you?
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. So are your kids helping you manifest this Europe trip?
Yeah, it's like, I see it as just like this orchestration, right? Like manifestation, when you're in it, it's like whether people know it or not, they're in it with you. So yeah, specifically the kids, we're excited. We're getting excited about it, and it's all adding up. It's all happening. And now we just get to receive, right? That's the biggest thing, is we get to receive. We get to notice the signs, be in a state of, where your nervous system is calm, relaxed, so that you can actually see the signs, and then choosing the signs. Yes, that's for me. I'm going to take action in that direction. That feels good.
What tools do you use for your nervous system work?
I've created my own tapping method, which I know you know about. Tapping is my biggest key. I have as well, I love, of course, like visualizations. But when it comes to like nervous system expansion work, I truly believe it has a lot to do with your identity and your beliefs, right? So it all comes down to that. If you are, thinking you're manifesting something, but you still believe in lack, or you still believe it's not possible, or you're still believing in like the judgment or whatever, it's not going to happen. Yeah. So tapping is a big one for me. And I've created my own, like I said, my own method around tapping. After having gone through what I had gone through, like we don't know when we're in the thick of it. We don't know what's happening. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know I was quantum leaping my life. I just made a decision and started moving accordingly. I will say that manifestation was not foreign to me, but I knew it how most people know it, is what I'm going to say. Is like, I am manifesting this thing. I put it on my vision board and like one day manifesting. Okay. Now my understanding of manifestation is so much deeper, but having gone through what I've gone through, when I first arrived in Costa Rica, and probably actually after about a year, and maybe even into the second year, I started to look back, because people always ask, like, how did it happen? Like, what happened there? Okay, from the moment I made a decision to the moment I stepped on that plane and arrived in Costa Rica alone on a one-way flight with a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, it was 9 months. 9 months after making the decision. You don't go from milk being a luxury to living on the beach in Costa Rica in 9 months to then manifesting your dream guy 2 days later. And it just like continues to unfold, right? So anyway, we don't know it when we're going through it, is what I'm trying to say. But out the other side, after a couple of years, I think it was about a couple of years of living in Costa Rica, I began to actually study my journey. and look back and figure out what actually took place. And I found manifestation work, and specifically Bob Proctor, he's a common name, fellow Canadian. He's left his body now, but I found him, and it just like put all the dots together. It connected them all and it blew my mind. And I realized, holy shit, there was a method that I followed. Okay, it was my own method. There were some basic principles that were still involved, like following and working with the universal laws. But beyond that, I was able to literally line up the dots. Okay, and so now, actually back then, EFT tapping was a big part of my journey. It was. Every single day, I was convincing myself of a new idea. Because remember, manifesting is not hoping and wishing and dreaming. Manifesting is upgrading your identity. So every single day, I was committed to believing in a new reality. And I was continually up-leveling who I believe I was.
And let's just, let's define that in case there's anybody listening that is like, what the hell are you guys talking about? So let's define EFT tapping. So anybody that's new to this understands what we're talking about.
Yeah, so EFT is, it stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. There's a lot of different definitions now, right? There's a lot of different styles of tapping. So basically what we're doing is we're tapping on like acupressure points when you look at Chinese medicine, okay, at different energy meridians throughout the body, and we are using our voice. So I always say we are giving a voice to the voices, but also as women, we are giving, really just taking our power back, because looking back through history, you know, even in parts of the world today, women are not allowed to use their voice. And so this is us using our voice as women and, you know, empowering ourselves, but also giving a voice to the voices inside. Because I have seen over and over and over again, doing is not the answer. Okay. I have over 10 years experience mentoring women in the online space in a business capacity now. And for a long time, long time, there was, you know, I'm working with these women who, you know, they have this belief, they have this fear, they have this, and there was a part of me back then who would just say, you know, how everybody else is, okay, well, feel the fear, do it anyway. What about the fake it till you make it? Let's just act as if, right? Those sound really familiar, right? But now I know that that is so backwards. Because as women, we are feelers. We cannot just brush it under the rug. We cannot just hide from it. We must address that resistance. If we have fear, if our body literally feels unsafe, our brain is basically going to set up a barrier, okay? And what that means is we then are existing in survival mode. When we are in survival mode, the sympathetic nervous system is engaged. When that happens, we're literally surviving. Our digestive system doesn't work. Our brain is not functioning. We are not thinking, never mind dreaming. So if we are trying to exist in that way and trying to manifest and change our results in that way, we're going to be like, we're not going to be creative. We're not going to be thinking properly. It's not until we actually calm our nervous system down, regulate our nervous system, and feel safe in our bodies. Because there's a lot of people, I attract a lot of people who are women who are here to do really big things. You know, like we have just this mission on our hearts that is so much bigger than us. And it's so deeply rooted in like service. We're here to change the world. We're here to change lives. How can we possibly change lives if we are afraid to show up in the online space? If we're afraid of judgment, if we're afraid to speak our truth, we can't. And no matter how much you force yourself, no matter how much we're like, yes, I can do this, you know, it's not going to help, because you're going to be operating in survival mode. You're not going to be living the effortless way. You're not going to be like accessing the flow state. You're going to be feeling like you're fucking grinding. You're hustling. Yeah. You're like dragging along, and it sucks. It's so hard. Everything I did was not hard. It was not hard at all. It was, in fact, I call it effortless. The effortless way is that flow state when we know how to work with our nervous system and when we know how to expand our capacity to perceive, receive, and hold more. And now that is exactly what I do. And that is exactly the method that I created after studying my journey and bringing together my love and knowledge on manifestation and EFT tapping. I brought it together and created this masterpiece that, like I said, helps us to expand and access that flow state and live the effortless way, live and create and scale our businesses the effortless way.
And so you realize that in hindsight, in going back and studying your own journey, that the tapping and the manifestation were connected, and you realized that you were actually creating this blueprint and you didn't even know at the time what you were doing. Yeah, that's so cool.
I didn't even know. So now, if I would have known what I know now, of course we always say that, right? If I would have known this, I would have quantum leaped my life. My life would have looked, I don't even know, like completely different. So different.
But sometimes we need that, a lot of times it really takes getting the hard lessons. Some people have to hit rock bottom. Yep. Some people, to have that starting place.
Yeah.
And
that's also life.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And also so that we can have the compassion and the understanding and the empathy for the people that we're working with now that are still in that place.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. And also to be able to be in this place where I have alchemized that journey into this incredible opportunity for other people. Like I see it as such a gift. Like I went through that, just like you went through your journey to be where you are now, to then be able to give this gift to your clients, to the world, whatever that means. And I just see it as like such a disservice if we stay in that lack, if we stay in the fear and the doubt, because there are people out there that are looking for us, like you, me, and everyone listening. Like you have this like wisdom, this knowledge, like you lived through it. Like now it's time to turn around and help and guide other people, other women through it.
Yeah.
In like a fraction of the time, with way less stress, all of the things.
Yeah. And you can't manifest from that space of fear, because there's so much of our emotion that is involved in the manifestation process. And so if you're in that fear and if you're in that lack, then you are manifesting more of what you're feeling, more of those emotions.
Exactly.
That you're tuned into.
Exactly.
which
what you focus on expands.
Yep. which brings me to something I wanted to ask you about. So money mindset and the embodiment of wealth and how that's tied in with that.
Yeah. So if we believe wealthy people are wasting money, they're living in these luxury houses, they don't need that. If we believe that they're driving these G-Wagons, these Ferraris, and we believe that they should be giving their money to people who need it, how are we ever going to attract wealth to us? Right? Yeah. And I am a student of wealth. Honestly, I am in a course right now where I am really, truly like deeply involved with this. I also have a program coming up we're going to talk about in a second here that is deeply connected to all of this, because I do feel that a big part of my purpose and my calling here is to help people, to help women specifically, to be able to feel like worthy of the wealth that they desire, right? Like, and to really truly attract and create, to know how to create serious wealth. Okay, so I come from a background of lack, right? Absolute lack. And I know that I have done a lot of work on that, but there's always more to become aware of. And that's the difference between me of right now and me of whatever 7 years ago, is awareness, because she didn't have the awareness that I know now, that I now have. And so somebody who is living in that poverty mindset, it's not their fault. There's nothing wrong with them. Nothing wrong with it. It's not anybody else's fault. It's literally just lack of awareness. So for example, I had somebody the other day talk about giving money away. And I'm not against donating money to good causes and things like this, but I actually caught her as one of my private clients, actually. And I was like, you know what? I feel like I can say this just because I've been there, and I was back in the day, back in like the depths of like the darkness, I'm going to say. If somebody would have given me money, that would have been helpful. But for how long? I know you know what I'm going to say here. But for how long? Okay, maybe it would have paid my bills for that month. But where would I be the following month? The same shit. Okay. So what I said to her, and this is what I do, is what would have changed my life? Information, inspiration, collaboration, right? That is what would have changed my entire life. Education, awareness. That is what would have changed my life. Not money. Money is a temporary fix. So what do these people actually need? They need awareness. Not everybody is open to hearing what we're talking about right now. Not everybody is understanding what we're talking about even, but they are watching. People are always watching. And so what's the best thing that we can do? I told her to go hire a photographer that she loves and get a professional brand shoot done, like top notch. That is actually, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I'm open to it, but that is what's actually going to serve more people. Why? Because they're watching her upgrade in her identity. What's going to happen? She can hold more through getting that photo shoot done. She can then hold more wealth. She can then accept more clients through embodying that higher level of herself, that more elevated, or what do we want to say? Like, just like luxurious version of her. And there's a lot of, some people can say, well, money's not everything. And I get it. Money is not everything. You're absolutely correct. And that's not at all what I'm saying here. Money does not buy you happiness, whatever, but it can definitely give you incredible opportunities.
I think also, and for the women that we're speaking to, anybody that's listening and the women that we work with, we are, like you said, really trying to change the world and to uplift other women. And we're coming together in sisterhood. And it's not about like getting rich to show off, or whatever, which is fine if that's what you want, actually. Honestly, to go back to what you said, if you want that car and you want that handbag and you want those shoes, that's all fine too.
Do it.
But what this is about, is really about being able to expand our capacity to help more women, to bring more women into our circle and to help uplift them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that, if we're still believing that, even there's such thing as waste, like, oh, we can't waste the food, we can't waste the water. Like, this is all information that we look around and remember that our beliefs create our reality. So if we believe something, you can look around and find proof of that. Absolutely. But when it comes to the full embodiment of wealth and limitless abundance, there is no lack. There is no lack. Lack is a made up thing. Okay. Yeah. And so it all comes down to our own beliefs that we hold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so many of us hold those deep-seated beliefs about our own lack and our own lack of worth. And so that's something you work with women with the tapping. So just to go back to that for a second, the EFT tapping can be a really beautiful tool to alchemize and to let a lot of that move through you. So do you want to maybe just give like a little example of that for the audience?
Yeah. So my tapping method has 3 components to it. The first one is awareness. Okay, so we got to build awareness. We got to become aware of the inner voices. We have to become aware of our beliefs. And how do we become aware of our beliefs? Is we're literally, I see it as almost like we're studying ourselves. If you go to the grocery store and you're buying the small bottle of tahini instead of the big one, why is that? You go to the cafe and you're saying, oh no, I'll just take the small one, or even though you want the full shebang with the fucking sprinkles and everything, but you're downplaying that. Okay. Even if I noticed last night, I took my kids to dinner because that's what it's kind of like a running theme in my world, is that's what she would do. And so we went out for dinner and I just noticed, we're constantly noticing. I noticed how I moved in that restaurant. And I noticed how I sat down. I noticed how like there was a part of me that was like, oh no, you don't need to use the cloth napkin. You can use one of the kids. And I was like, that is so lack. That is so, and it's kind of embarrassing to say out loud, right? But again, this is like the thing we're doing is we're building this awareness because all of that matters. All of those little thoughts matter because it shows us a bigger rooted belief. Okay. And that's what this whole thing is about, because we do not manifest, we do not manifest what we want. We manifest what we believe and who we believe we are and what we believe we are worthy of. So that's the first step, is building awareness. And then we vent it and process it. We allow it to, we give it a voice, right? Because so many people, it's like, I'm a little bit embarrassed to say this. Like, no, you got to say it. You got to get it out of your body, free it from your body, and shine a light on it. And once you do, you take your power back. Because right now, those beliefs have ownership over you, and you're basically a slave to them. But then when you take your power back through actually acknowledging, okay, I see you there. And even sometimes we're like, I see you there, Dad. You're in there with that, like, money doesn't grow on trees, like rich people are assholes, whatever it is. If that is a reoccurring theme in your head, that is what you currently believe. So we must free yourself. We must free yourself from that information first. That's the first step. After that, we must feel safe in our body. Because if we're like, okay, well, I don't know, what if somebody says something to me? What if I'm called out? What if I make a lot of money and then, nobody likes me? What if, like, all of these things? What if these, like, some things I hear, I'm like, that's wild, but like, let's free ourselves from that, right? Like, you never know what's in there until you start building this awareness. But the truth is, like we already talked about, if our body does not feel safe, we are not going to take new action. And action is a key piece to manifestation. Many people have this twisted and think that manifestation is vision boards and visualizing and saying I'm manifesting this thing and like hoping and praying and wishing for it. It's not. There is a key, and that is action. But when it comes to the effortless way, we don't just take logical action. We upgrade our inside world, our internal world. We upgrade our reality on the inside first to match where we want to go. Okay. And so after we've vented and processed, after we've healed and we feel safe and we've forgiven all the people, then we can actually activate that higher version of us, that elevated version of us, whatever we want to say, our highest self. Like when I say, where do you want to go, or what would you love? If anything's possible, what would you love? There is a frequency and a vibration that is connected into that reality. Yes. And so a lot of the work I do with my clients is bringing that information back into our 3D physical world and embodying it now. That's when I say, oh, that's what she would do. And I always ask my clients, well, what would she do? And that is the information, because we can instantly connect into that vibration and frequency and then go to take new action. So when we do it in this way, and when we take action in a new way, when there is resistance, what do? We build awareness around it, we process it, and we vent it out of our bodies. So it's really this alchemizing situation where we take it and move through it so that every time we do, it has less and less power over us. And that's everything, because this is then when we start to activate and access that effortless way, because we begin to activate the higher version of us, bring that information in, and then expand our capacity to perceive, receive, and hold more through basically convincing ourselves of a new idea.
Yeah, I love that, and I as well do that. So I did one of your free mini courses, and I don't know if you remember, I was in there, and it was stepping into that version of yourself and becoming her. And so I had a very clear vision of that version of me early on in launching my coaching business. And I practiced, stepping into that version and stepping into that version, that confident version of myself who could work with women. And it was definitely a very helpful process.
Yeah, and it's constant. It is a constant thing. So expanding is not just something we do sometimes. Expansion is who we are. Okay, because we are here to serve on such a big scale. We have such big dreams and visions for our lives. This is not like a part-time thing. Okay, saying that, that does not mean that it is something that's really hard or takes a lot of time or is really, hard work or a lot of effort. When we actually know how to do it properly, it's completely effortlessly. It is completely effortless. And we receive this information. And you know what I'm talking about, those intuitive hits, right? I sent a voice message in your group today, and it was basically, one of the key things was, why do we always just receive these our biggest downloads and our best ideas when we're in the shower or in the bath, right? Or when we're driving or when we're cooking? Why? It's because that's when your body feels safe. That's when your nervous system is actually calmed down. And that is the flow state. So the work is actually getting ourselves to this place where we can exist in that all the time. And I call this unshakable. That's why I call the event Unshakable Worth, because literally anything can happen. The contrast is going to show up. The opposite of what you want is going to show up. If I am looking at that contrast and telling myself, well, God, this must be a sign from the universe to not do it, that's not going to serve me. But if I can actually look at it and say, this is for me, this is happening for me, actually. Maybe I'm not meant to go to that thing. Okay. And we can actually start to move through the contrast in a different way. And instead of in a reaction state, even with the kids, right? Instead of reacting, I actually now have I used to call it emotional responsibility, but it's really truly just the regulation in my nervous system to be able to hold whatever comes my way. And of course, we're all human. Our human comes out from time to time, but we then have the awareness to realize, holy shit, my human's out. And tap back into that energy right away. Yeah. That's how it is. But then we have the tools and the awareness to reframe it right away and come back to, what would I love? Okay, this is happening for me.
I think that that's a really important aspect too, is to have the tools. And I think going back to what you were saying before, it's like the old version of ourselves, a lot of people just don't have the tools. And so to be able to offer this, there's probably some women who are listening right now that are just kind of like, I don't know, what talking about vague concepts. But when you actually do the work, you take radical responsibility, you step into it, and you gain that knowledge, you get the toolbox, so that when lifes, or when our human comes out, we have the tools to work with in order to access our highest self, in order to make clear decisions, in order to show up as that, higher version of ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. And the community matters as well. Yeah. Who we surround ourselves with absolutely matters.
Oh, so much, so much. I know that for me personally, getting in containers with women who are in a level or two above me has been so life-changing, because it brings you up. I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I love stepping into containers with women who know more than me, because it up-levels you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that kind of leads in naturally very well to talk about the course that you have coming up, the Manifest course. So do you want to give us some information about that?
Yes. So I've been kind of talking about it throughout, but I strongly believe that if that younger version of me, the version of me who was still believing her circumstances had ownership over her, right? The version of me who was still telling herself, one day things are going to change. One day my business is going to grow. One day something's going to happen, right? If I would have had this information, everything would have been different. So that's what I created, or who I created this program for. So Manifest is an 11-week course. It is a live experience. When I use the word course, I'm like, oh, I don't know, that sounds really dry. It is nothing even remotely like a dry course. It also sounds very formal. It's so weird. Anyway, side note, Manifest is an 11-week experience. And it is basically everything that I went through. I created a method around, and now I've created an 11-week program. with it. Okay,
And
so
when you say program and course, it's not like a static thing. This is very like engaged, right? We're going to be, and I say we because I'm going to be in there, but we are going to be meeting twice a week, right? For live calls.
Yep.
And yeah, so very like high touch. It's not some static thing.
Yeah, there's one call a week that is a lesson. And then we have our group chat for integration. So I'm all about community. You don't do anything in my world alone. Okay. We have our group chat, and then we also have our embodiment calls, which will be EFT tapping on live as a group. So whatever resistance, whatever doubts, fears, anything that's coming up and you believe is holding you or blocking you in any way, we are going to work through it together on the live call. So yeah, it's going to be absolutely magical. I know it is. I think right now we have 5 or 6 women inside already, and I know that so many more are going to join us over the coming days. We start live on November 11th. I did the whole 11, 111. Oh, that's another thing is I wanted to, when I was thinking about this program, I wanted to make it in all ways for that younger version of Jocelyn. So I wanted to also price this accordingly in a way that she could actually access. And so it is $111 a month for 3 months. There is also a graduation call because that codes our cells differently, right? There is something about closure that is really, really special as well. There is also a VIP option to add on more proximity in there, more coaching, more bonus materials and things like that. Like I just wanted to make it so accessible for women who are actually ready, like really seriously ready to change their results. And it doesn't have to mean like, I just want to say like, you don't have to actually want to move to Costa Rica. You know, I do attract a lot of women who do, but like, even if you want to attract more abundance, more wealth, you want to heal your relationship with money, you want to create more freedom in your life, you like whatever it is, more joy, like more love. Okay. It's going to teach you how to manifest literally anything.
I am super excited because admittedly I have some money blocks, some wealth blocks, some really, really
awareness
old
is the first step. Yes.
I've been aware of it. Yeah. For this whole year, it's been like something I'm trying to work with, but I know this is definitely going to quantum leap me because I felt it. Like as soon as you brought it into my world, I was like, yes, this is what I need. Because there's some deep old programming that lives, things my parents said and extended family, this old programming that lives inside of me that, keeps telling me I'm not good enough for that. I'm not worthy of that. If I have it, I need to give it away. And so I'm definitely looking forward to that aspect, the ability to be able to hold that and to take the next step. Because I know I personally have done a lot of manifestation, a lot of creation. I know that it's possible. The last few years, my life has changed so drastically, and it's been so beautiful. So I know it's just right there. And a big part of it is just saying yes.
Yeah. Making a decision and then up leveling to meet it. And that's exactly what we're going to do inside. It's so exciting. I can't wait.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, is there anything else you want to leave my audience with? And then also any other programs you have going or ways to get in touch with you, how to follow along, anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, Manifest, I've always got a lot of things going on, and I would say join Manifest. Come join us in Manifest. It's the perfect first step. $111 a month. Like, let's go. I also have a tapping and business membership. Like the VIP option includes the membership for private coaching. Like I've got a lot of fun things in the works, and you're going to hear about it when you are inside Manifest as well. But yeah, the biggest thing is literally you are the only one that can make the decision. And once you make the decision, everything, like, let it happen. You get to make the decision, but beyond that, it's just basically a series of making decisions and more decisions and more decisions, and how you carry yourself through each and every day, the little decisions that you make. For example, how you put on your ring, right? You can put on your ring like without totally even realizing you put on your ring. You can put on your shirt and choose your clothes by literally just opening your closet and robotically putting on your clothes and getting dressed for the day. Or you can do it with intention, as she would. It's the little shifts that are going to change everything. Your vibrational frequency, your point of attraction, how you feel matters. Yeah, that's what I would say is it's in the little things, and all you got to do is make a decision and then have insane, delusional faith that it's all working out in your favor, because it is.
I love it. I love it so much. Awesome. And I'll link everything in the show notes, so you can check there if you want to join us. I hope everyone listening will join us inside, because I, for one, am so fucking excited for it. And I know that it will be magical. Yay.
Me too.
Well, thank you so much, Jocelyn, for coming on. This has been a
Thank
while
you for having me.
in the coming, so I'm so glad to have you here. And
yay.
We'll see you inside soon.
See you next week. Yeah, okay.